Okay, hello. This is the first time I'm actually putting myself on one of these videos. I've always been blessed that I've only been able to see myself really from the inside looking out, not from the outside looking in, so everyone else is cursed to look at me. I think most people who aren't vain feel that way. Um, so yeah, this is a new experience for me. I'm gonna test out, see how well it works, and things like that. So, what I want to talk about today, I like video games, I like comic books, and when they combine the two, that's awesome too. But I want to talk kind of how diversity is handled in comic books and things nowadays. And um, so, yeah, just to give you some background about me, about myself, I don't notice certain things that it seems like a lot of other people really, really notice. And For example, I knew a guy for several years, and it wasn't until he mentioned the color of his skin that I realized that he was um, of native descent. He was one of the American tribes, is where his ancestors came from. I didn't even notice. And it's not disrespectful towards him or his skin color or anything like that. It's just not something I notice. Um, so oftentimes I have to have these things pointed out to me. So this was pointed out to me. Um, and this is apparently being done in pretty much every comic book that features a main character who is white or Caucasian. So this is from a Squirrel Girl comic. Let's get a good look there. So that's Squirrel Girl and her friends, and if I'm holding it straight and clear enough, you'll see that pretty much she's the only white person amongst her friends. Her best friend is black. The guy next to her, Chipmunk Hunk, he's Latin, and then guy at the end, Koi Boy, is Asian. Actually, I'm not entirely sure what part of Asia he's from. I don't know if it's been established or not. So apparently they do that with every just about every lead character who's white. They do that as some attempt at diversity. I never even noticed, which says something about me. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. The only exception I know of offhand is Gwenpool, and hopefully the image won't be reversed as it is for me looking at it. Like I said, new experience doing all this. So we're going to show you kind of Gwenpool and her friends. So pretty much, yeah, let's take a look here. So that's Gwenpool and her friends, except for that guy there, that short guy, not her friend. Um, but you've got, okay, it's kind of hard to see here doing it. That's Boutrock. He's not only white, he's French. A comedian a couple years ago talking about comedy just said, it's every time you make a French joke, you can be sure that nobody will ever complain. It's like a free pass, no matter what you say about French people. You can make a joke about them, at least in American culture, which seems kind of weird, but okay. Then you've got Megatoni. He's a white guy, but maybe the fact that he's big is some sort of diversity. I don't know. Then we have Sarah over here who dabbles in magic. She's the only person who has any sort of who's not completely white, but she's sort of this weird gray color, maybe because she works with magic. I'm not sure where she's actually from. I'm going to presume she's Jewish because of the name Sarah, but that's probably not definitive. So they have this really interesting idea of diversity nowadays, and got to thinking this morning. When you wake up and you're not entirely awake, and your dreams are still a little bit with you, and you feel like you should get up, but you don't want to, and so your brain starts thinking and stuff like that. And I started thinking about diversity, just how it worked, because that was part of my dream. And it occurred to me that there's a difference between what the word actually means and what the action yeah, the action that people take in the name of diversity. So, to give an example of this, I was raised in predominantly in northern Utah, which is predominantly white and predominantly Mormon area, and it occurred to me that somebody standing, at say my, we'll say middle school, because my middle school had this awesome auditorium. Anyway, looking out over the middle school students when I was there, the first reaction people would have was that these people are remarkably non-diverse. They're not a diverse selection of people. And, you know, based solely upon the fact that they're all white, or predominantly white, predominantly Mormon, we did have a large Hispanic culture there. I'm pretty sure it was just mostly Hispanic and not Latino. I don't know if that distinction even still exists. This is how out of it I am on political correctness. But they would just see white people and Mormons. That's all they would see, and they wouldn't see what really makes us diverse. They wouldn't see our favorite foods. They wouldn't see what movies we like, what books we read. They wouldn't see any aspect of that except for our skin color. And it seems to me a lot of people approach diversity by looking at one part of who a person is, whether it's their skin color, whether it's their sexuality or gender or anything like that, and say, okay, this is entirely what all these people are. And it's really weird how they kind of, be really unfair to certain people because of that. And one of the examples that I thought of this morning was when President Trump was inaugurated. A lot of people, excuse me, a lot of people, for reasons that I still don't fully understand, decided he wasn't valid as president. And a lot of people are still making that argument, whether it was Russian interference, whether it was because he got the didn't get the popular vote, but got the whatever it's called vote. For whatever reason, they say, okay, he's not our candidate, not our president. And as inauguration, quite a few people were invited to attend, to perform, do music, perform, that sort of thing. And so many people refused, which, when I was a kid, no matter who the president was, it was always considered an honor to be invited to the White House to perform, for a musician to do that. One of the few people who actually accepted the invitation was the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, who has been asked numerous times, and every single time, regardless of who the president was, they have agreed to do that. Now, right after they accepted, there was an editorial I read that was actually really funny because it was so insane. It's just, people, one person chewing out Mormons because, well, Mormons may have thought that he was the better of two evils, better than Hillary, but that's no excuse. They shouldn't keep supporting him. They shouldn't. And it's like, what does that have to do with any of this? It's not about who you voted for. It's about honoring the person who's currently running the country. But that's not a popular opinion. So what made this really, really funny was when they performed, there was a lot of tweets that came up from a lot of people. And one of the things they tweeted was, did they lose all the black people? Why are there so very few black people? Well, Salt Lake City, I believe it's Salt Lake City. Well, I'm going to say it is Salt Lake City, but where Mormon Tabernacle Choir is based, it's predominantly white. And so most of the members of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir are, by default, predominantly white. And the main reason it's predominantly white is that Mormons really didn't believe in slavery, and I think I remember from history class 2 or 3 slaves were actually brought with them. Of the hundreds of Mormons that crossed the plains, only 2 or 3 slaves came with them. The rest were all Mormons fleeing religious persecution. And so that, to me, reflects well on Mormons. They didn't approve of slavery, they didn't keep slavery, and so the area they're in, the Middle America area of Salt Lake, is predominantly white because of that. And yet now that's seen as somehow a bad thing, because now they don't have a black culture there, because they didn't force, more than 100 years ago, they didn't force black people to come with them into that culture. So it's this diversity thing that it's very confusing to me, because I think people shouldn't just be judged by how they look, by the color of their skin, by their gender, by their sexual orientation, by really any one thing. They should be judged by who they are. I mean, it's important to know your ancestry. I did that whole thing on Ancestry DNA. And yeah, I'm glad. It's great to know that I'm actually as Irish as I thought I was, and it's also great to know that I'm also nearly as equally Scandinavian. That's great for me to know. I never knew that before. But that's not just who I am. I know next to nothing about Scandinavian culture. um, I know the phrase "lutefisk," I'm probably even saying it wrong, but yeah, strike that. I know nothing of Scandinavian culture, so it'd be hard to say, judge me by the fact that an ancestor of mine came from Scandinavia, since I know nothing about that. What I am is an American. I was born, raised in America, lived all over the country, and really, America is probably the most diverse place in the world. And I think just do a study, just whoever you are, if you want to look into diversity, want to look in that, do a study on American food and look at how much influence we get from other countries. I mean, pizza originally came from Italy. We completely and totally changed how it was made and what we did with it. But, it originated in another country. Tacos originated in another country. Almost all of our really, really good foods originated somewhere else. That's not to say we didn't create some great things along the way, like buffalo sauce. But we are such a diverse culture that any food from anywhere in the world you can generally get in big cities, and even small cities. You can see that. I live in a small town, and we have a Mexican restaurant that does pizza here. And who would have thought that it's a Mexican restaurant? It's run by people from Mexico, and they do great pizza. We also have, I think, 3 or 4 different Asian food places. We have, lovely Chinese. We have a Korean place. We have a Japanese place. And we're a small town. We're not New York City. And yet, in this tiny little part of America, you can get so much food from all over the world. And I think people forget that about America, that the strength of our diversity, how much we all get along. They only see that, oh, a lot of people in this area are white, so they must be racist, they must be whatever. And that's not who we are. Our culture is so accepting of other people. And yet, so many people within our culture deny that acceptance. So, anyway, that's what I'm going for. Just be accepting of everyone regardless of their skin color. And, if somebody's a jerk, it really doesn't matter what skin color they are. They're still a jerk. Somebody's a great guy, really doesn't matter what skin color they are. Or even a great, I'm going to say great girl too. So you can be a jerk, a great guy, a great girl, and it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has to do with the fact that you're a jerk. So anyway, that's a small little take on diversity. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'm going to look back at it and, yeah. I glance in the mirror, I think I look great, then I do my head down, I got this little there, so it looks... Anyway, like and subscribe if you like this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!